Greetings from the city of Dakar, Senegal. Here we are at the church property. It's going up. We're very full of joy with what God has given us in this land and the church, and not just for the building itself, but for the changed lives. People coming out of darkness, seeing the light of the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So it's a good thing to celebrate this season. And we're grateful for all of you who have given and prayed for this big project over the many, many years we've been here in Senegal. Right about the time Christmas comes, it's one of the darkest times of the year as winter equinox sets in. And I think that all the lights are a beautiful way of contrasting that darkness. And Christmas is a time that's full of light. And I wanted to read a passage from the Old Testament that's pretty popular, and maybe you've read it already this year, but it's from Isaiah 9. Isaiah 9, verse 2, and then verse 6. And I'm going to read that first verse. Isaiah 9, 2 says, "The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. Those who live in a dark land, the light will shine on them." I love this passage because it gives so much hope. And hope is one of the greatest things that we celebrate this season. But I wanted to think about, what is darkness? What is darkness in the world? What does it look like? And we know that the darkness, if we look to the previous passage, it talks about what darkness is. And we know there's evil in the world, there's suffering in the world, there's ignorance. But there's a lot of people doing things. In verse 19 of chapter 8, before chapter 9, it talks about people consulting mediums and the spiritists. And then it talks, and here in Senegal, we have people who do that. There's a lot of people looking to their spiritual guides, who are Muslim holy men, who are using African traditional religion mixed with verses of the Quran that are tied up in little leather pouches that people will wear around their neck, on their arm, or around their waist in order to keep from getting a curse put on them, or to keep protected from an evil spirit, or from getting sick, all these things. And later on in that same chapter of chapter 8, in verse 21 and 22, it talks about, particularly in verse 22, it says, "Then they will look to the earth." And here it is, people looking to the earth, to human resources to solve their problem. And I think of things that we and I have looked to for solutions to my problems, whether it be like a social system that would work better for us, or a political system. Maybe it's an intellectual cure for the earth, or some kind of innovation, or that the market would do better, or some sort of technology would really help us out and help solve my problems. But really, I think the Bible is showing that when they did this, when they looked to the earth, it says, "And behold, distress and darkness, the gloom of anguish." So these things that we humans tend to look to naturally are not really solutions. That the light, we're looking there for the light, but the light, the Bible says here, the light comes from outside. It comes from a source outside of our own selves. The people who walk in darkness will see a light. And it says, "Those who live in a dark land, the light will shine on them." And it literally means the light comes from the outside. The light dawns. It's not coming from within, it's coming from without. And I believe the answer to that light, because I want to ask the other question, what is light? Because I want to know, what is this light that it's talking about? And verse 6 answers that question. And I'm going to read verse 6 now, and it says, "For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. The true meaning of Christmas comes from God himself sending himself as a child to come and be with us. And as we look at who this child is, it's really interesting to me that no other religion in the world has God coming down, taking human form, living among us. Wow, that really makes him extraordinary, unique among all other religions of the world, where we see God himself coming down and being with us. And that's who Jesus is. That's what we're celebrating this Christmas season, God coming down. And it says that his name will be called Wonderful Counselor. And I love that description of him, because when he came down, he lived like we did. He suffered. He felt pain. He felt the discouragement of broken relationships. He felt the hardness of death. He felt joy. He felt, when he went to the wedding at Canaan, he felt gladness. He felt so many things that we ourselves feel and experience, and I experience. And I just think about the things that we go through here, even in Senegal, where in our building projects, which you all saw, we lost our first architect to death, and we lost him. But then, and God came to us and ministered in that. And then we gained Mr. Jonas, who came and has really helped open doors for our church project. And then it says, and God understands these things. He can relate to us. He says that he is the mighty God. He's sovereign. So in the middle of all these hard things, we see that God is sovereign. Even a couple years ago, we lost one of our key nationals who was on the very beginning of our church plant. And we asked God, why? Why did this happen? But that's really the wrong question. The question to ask is who, and that's who God is. He is sovereign. And while these things are worthy of our grief, just as he grieved for Lazarus when he had died, when he fully intended to bring him back to life again, God understands our emotions, and he understands what's happening to us in life, because he's lived among us in the person of Jesus. And it also says, as we said, mighty God, he's sovereign, he knows all things, he is the most powerful God, the God of the universe. But it also says he's our eternal Father. He always has existed, he's existing now, and he will always be there. He will always live throughout eternity. And that gives me great hope, because he's not only the greatest being in the universe, but he understands us, and he will live forever as our loving Father. He loves us, and he will always be there for us. And that gives me a great sense of peace, because it also calls him the Prince of Peace, knowing that the God of the universe loves us, and he will be there for us, and sovereignly ruling over our lives and caring for us. And that gives me great hope. That's always a source of great hope. And I see answers in the way God has brought the second architect to us in our project, the church project. And he's opened many doors for us and really paved the way for us to be at the point where we're at now in our building project. He's comforted us when we've lost people. He's given us hope in our discouragement. We've had many discouragements along the way. He comes alongside of us. We miss family being so far away, but he comes alongside of us in our discouraging times and gives us hope, and he almost even replaces that with many sources of joy and comfort and peace. So we have much to be grateful for, and we have a God that we can count on, who will always be there for us, who promises us peace in the midst of all the sufferings, the difficulties, the evils of life, the darkness, the light is always there, and he will always be there for us, and we can count on him. And that gives great hope to us. And I pray that is giving you great hope during this Christmas season. We love you all at North Mountain. We miss you greatly, and we are grateful to you for your long-term support and prayer and encouragement of us here in Senegal. Hold on if you would like to see a little tour of our church building, if you're interested. If not, have a Merry Christmas. Show you that this is the church. They're working on the first level is done. Not done, but the big structure's done. The second level where the balcony is, and then that's where our library is going to be, up there on the third floor, American. So just letting you get an idea of what that looks like. And here's the worship area. So downstairs and right up there in front is where the person will stand who is teaching or preaching. And above that, we have a stepped balcony, which I'll show you in a second. There's from the front looking back, and there's a stepped balcony up there upstairs. There's where they're mixing up all the cement for the building. On top of the stepped balcony looking down, and all these supports will go away, and this will be a wide open space looking down on at the platform. Right here is where the library will be, a multi-purpose area. And this is the steps. They're working on the steps right now. A great work team. Guys bending metal, rebar, and other guys doing cement and all sorts of things. We're very blessed, and they know that you're praying for them, so they're very grateful for God's protection and safety and strength for this project. Balcony here on the third floor, you can see a little bit of the city, what it looks like. It's on a main street. You're between right here is a clinic, and on the other side of us is a pharmacy. There's a school, and down the street here is a big stadium, the mayor's office, the market, and major transportation.